Hello and welcome back to another daily cribbage. Let's see who we get today. Still with one L. Not sure, that means something, right? I'm thinking like some kind of vessel. Anyway, 7-8, nice natural discard. Feels like we should really pair this jack. How often does our opponent have the fourth jack? Not that often, apparently. See, 9, 10, double 9, 10, so long double run, and a 5 as well. So, opponent's got a very nice hand there. And, well, the 10 was actually pretty good for us. We get a double run at least, and a little bit of extra stuff to go with our 7-8 in the crib. So, turns out pretty nicely for us. This one, looks like we've got a few ways to keep a double run, but clearly we want to keep the double jack because that allows us to hit lots of the top cards. 2 and 3. What does this mean? Okay, triple 2 3 combos with the 10 on top. Opponent's got a nice 12-point hand there. And in the crib, anything too big? No, not really. Okay, so 29 plays 31. We're trying to reach our first milestone, which is, or the second milestone at 44. Opponent needs a lot to get that, really. And I'm just debating between something like 7 jack, 3 jack. I think it's just 3 jack, but could be wrong on that one. 2 is really nice for our crib. And I'll just play the jack here. And this is maybe another 7. No, triple ace 7. Okay. So just 6 points. And we get hopefully something good in the crib. 4 points. Can't argue with that. So we are in fantastic position. We're very likely to make our milestone. And our opponent needs a little bit of help. We keep the 8 double 9 together because 7s are really excellent for us. And I'll lead a 6 here. That's kind of unfortunate. I'll make it 21 and pay out the 10s. Okay, no 10s in sight, but 3s there. Okay, double 6, 3, 4 does hit the 5 does hit our opponent in a big way, and a huge crib because the 5 is always better for the dealer. So that means our opponent is now in a great position, and we have to try and slow them down perhaps, or we have to catch up ourselves. I guess I'll play out the 5 here. Kind of wanted to play the 3, but I don't think the 5 really helps us on the second play, so it's completely fine to get rid of the 5. Reason to get rid of the 5 there is because our opponent might have things like 6 ace, and then the ace gets 2 points. It would be nice to keep ace double 4, but instead we can keep 2 double 4 with the 9 for the double run. Now the double 15s now are triple 15. 3 lots of 15s, and it's pretty good. 6 9. Okay. And what else does our opponent have left? 7 8. 6 3. Okay, well that's the classic 8-point hand, and that takes them to a score that's going to be very easy to hit their next milestone at 96. Opponent is not letting off the gas. So I'm going to try and get some value here. But the problem with these points that I am getting points against my opponent, but it's It's just meaning that my opponent is moving slightly further into the lead, or slightly into a more comfortable position. And that would be nice to avoid. But an 8 would be really great. Jack is the worst thing. And let's see if we can... I guess we have an ace for compensation, but no, 6, 8. 6, 8, 9, 10, Jack. Yeah, this is over because of the Queen King in the crib. So our opponent's left, so we don't have to say good game or anything like that. And let's have a look at the damage. So on the play, all things pretty equal. In the hands, losing our bit, and in the crib we also lost out. Let's dial it back to a moment where things were maybe still within reach. So I've had a little look through the game, and on my cursory glances, I haven't really seen any position where I was extremely unhappy with what I did. But I do want to highlight something, and this was a fairly early on hand. We're at 29 and our opponent's at 31. Our opponent is Pone, significantly behind where they want to be in terms of their milestones. They want to get to 44, so 13 points as Pone is a tall ask. We are at 29. We're a couple points behind right now, but we have this hand and our crib and the following Pone to get to 44. It seems very doable, especially when we look at what we've got. We've got a run 3 to 7 with a Jack, and that's there's a lot of options here. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what kinds of options we have and maybe when we would take some of those different options. So the first thing to note is that we have a 4, 5, 6 in hand. And whenever you have 4, 5, 6, it's important to note that that's worth 5 points, and there are many ways for that to improve. If you cut a 4, 5, or a 6, it turns into 12 points immediately, which is really huge, and any 10 is going to improve it just a little bit more. So in our case, if we keep 4, 5, 6 with the Jack, then we've immediately kept 7 points, and it often improves to 9 points without too much difficulty. The other things that we can do with this hand involve keeping a longer run. So we can either keep 3 to 6 or 4 to 7. And what's the difference between 3 to 6 and 4 to 7? Well, they obviously both improve to longer runs in similar ways. So cutting a 3 through a 6 or cutting 4 through a 7 respectively is going to pretty much do the same thing. The only slight difference is that, well, actually no, if you cut a 3 on a 3, 4, 5, 6, then there's an extra 10 that you get in the form of 3, 3, 4, 5. That's another 15. And with 4 to 7, if you cut a 4, then you get 2 extra 15s with that 4. You get a 4, 5, 6, and you also get a 4, 4, 7. So they pretty much improve in the same way from the double runs. The only thing that you really get from, or the only thing that I would expect you would get from keeping the lower run is that it should improve more often, because the sort of idea, the intuition is that if you keep lower cards, they can combo to make 15 in more ways. So for instance, if we cut an 8 with the 3 to 6 run, then that makes 15 with a 3, 4, 8. But I don't see an analog for the 4 to 7. I guess with 4 to 7, the worst cuts are probably an ace. A 2 is okay. It's not very good. A 2 just gives you a 15 with the 2, 6, 7. 3 clearly extends the run, and that's the same as sort of cutting a 2. Oh, it's not the same as cutting a 2 with the 3 to 6 run, because if you cut a 2 with the 3 to 6 run, you get an extra 15 from the 2, 3, 4, 6. So, okay. maybe that's a slight difference. Okay. And yeah, and for that reason, maybe the 3 to 6 scores slightly more. My intuition is that 3 to 6 is slightly better than 4 to 7. So that was why I was debating between throwing 3-7 and throwing 7 jack. I settled on the 3-7 discard because, well, 7 jack is not very good in the crib, and also keeping the jack allows for a bit more playability. We can jump if we need to. Of course, jacks are one of the worst things to jump with because your opponent has all their jacks, so you have to use it to jump in a situation where you're not going to get paired. Let's have a look at what the computer says. Let's put some numbers to these discards and see how our evaluation stacks up. Okay, here we are with the computer on clean brown, and things are a little bit closer than I thought they were going to be, actually. I thought that 3-7 was kind of clear. I mean, that's what I picked in the end, but in second place we actually have 3 jack. And the reason why 3 jack is there is not because of the hand score. We can see that in second place the hand score is actually the 7 jack discard, so 3 to 6 in the hand is definitely worth more than 4 to 7. We'll have a look at those distributions in a moment. I expect they will look very similar. Perhaps the only difference is the 2 versus the 8, I guess. Well, no, the 8 is not comparable. Anyway, we'll see how those differ very subtly. The main difference between 3 jack discard and 7 jack discard is the crib. So clearly throwing away 3 jack means that you still are open to the possibility of cutting a 2 or your opponent throwing away a 2. So that allows you to hit 15s that involve the 3 and the jack. Whereas if you discard 7 jack, then you have to make 15s. The only way you can make 15s is with combos that involve one or the other. You can't combo them together. And in fact, that difference is really quite big. 3.33 for 7 jack, which, okay, I thought it was going to be low, but I didn't think it was going to be about 0.4 lower than 3 jack. That's very significant. So we'll check out those distributions in a moment. Discarding 3-7 is a little bit better than discarding 7 jack, but it's still not as good as 3 jack. And that's because, well, your opponent's 3-7 could be in a combo to make 15, but that combo needs to be filled out with a 5, and your opponent's never throwing away 5s into your crib unless their hand is amazing. So an average of about 3.47 there makes sense. I thought it would be a little bit higher than that, but I guess there aren't too many other combos that involve the 3 and the 7. So if we go over to the distributions, mostly interested in comparing 3 jack and 3-7. So when you discard 3 jack, there's still a possibility that you score 6, but that's balanced out by the times when you can score 12 in hand. So 3 jack is keeping 4 to 7, and how are you scoring 12 with 4 to 7? That's a tricky question. I don't think I'm equipped to, I haven't quite got it back into my rhythm. I don't think I can tell you all the cuts that would score 12. What would 8 score you? That would give you 5 for the run, 7, 9. That's 9. Would you get more points than that? No, that looks like 9 to me. So 8s give you 9. If you double the 4, then that's 14, 16 points. That's a tricky one. I don't know quite how you get 12. Oh, I see how you get 12. Ah, it's obvious. You just cut a 7. That's why it's at 6.5%. there's only 3 sevens left, so it's about 6%. The rule is if you count the number of ways that you can score a particular way, just double it, and that gives you a rough idea for the percentage, because there are 46 cards left, so that's roughly 50. So double it, and if you've counted a lot of things, add a little bit of extra. Add a little bit of extra percentage there. And if we compare, there's a 6.5% chance to score 16. That would be the 4s. And similarly, if we keep 3 to 6, then we get 16 whenever we cut. What is that? Whenever we cut a 6, because 663 gives us an extra 15. So those are the same. The 14, the chance of getting 14 is a bit higher with 7 Jack, which is quite nice. So if you needed to get 14 or above, that's the only thing you needed, then cut it. Then actually discarding the 7 Jack might be very reasonable, right? If we have a little look at some target scores, and let's go back to the table. So let's say you needed something like a total of if you needed at least 14 points, then you can see from the highlighting that the best way to do that, so that's in the column that's roughly in the middle, so bigger than 14% chance, that's this 3 Jack discard. Okay, that's quite interesting. And if we go a little bit higher, if we really need 16 points or more, still it's 3 Jack. So at the top end, it looks like it's better to discard the 3 Jack if we're in a pinch and we really need all those points. But anything below 12 points the distribution becomes much more concentrated. So we're always getting at least 8 points by discarding the 3-7, and actually we're always getting at least 9 points. Okay. Okay, this is funny, but if you need exactly 10 points to win, then perhaps the best way to do that is to discard 7 Jack. Now that's something that I don't think anyone could work out on their own, no matter how much time you give them. And even then, this simulation or these results don't give you anything about how the hand plays and how you get extra points from maybe some traps that you'll have in your hand. And speaking of traps you'll have in your hand, I'll move on to a slightly different topic. Later today, I'm going to be posting a little video about how to think about traps. So do check that out and keep an eye out for it. And I will see you then. Have a good one, and bye for now.